Welcome, racing fans. Today, we've got a special competition where pride is on the line as we watch the second AWS Army-Navy competition. For those joining us this morning, folks, there is a friendly rivalry between the armed services of the U.S. Department of Defense, and the oldest of these rivalries is between the U.S. Army and the U.S. Navy. Developers from both military branches have been working to develop machine learning models, artificial intelligences that will be driving autonomous racing cars to see who can cross the finish line in the fastest time. Many teams have been working over the last 2 months, and we have narrowed the competition down to just 8 teams, 4 from the U.S. Navy, 4 from the Army. Today, they battle for supremacy, bragging rights, and the Army-Navy DeepRacer Trophy. Each one of these 8 remaining teams will have one shot live on the track to see which one will claim the title of champion today. Welcome, everybody. My name is Blaine Sundred with AWS, and I'm excited to be here live with y'all. We are broadcasting globally on Twitch this morning, so please feel free to go ahead and drop in chat and tell us where you're watching from. And as long as we're talking about global reach, I'm joined today by our track boss, direct from London, David Smith. And we can go ahead and pull up the camera here and let's say hello to David, their trackside. David, what's happening?
Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, I guess. Here I am in the London office. We are ready to roll with the track. We've got the 2018 reInvent track here. We've got some cars. We've got the models loaded on them. To explain what happens next, essentially the car will be put behind the start line. They then have 3 minutes to set their best possible lap. The way they set their lap is we have a guest driver here who is controlling the car insofar as they control the speed as a battery percentage. So there's no, obviously these are self-driving cars, so there's no steering controls. It's just a case of a throttle control based on the battery on the car. So there's no speed in terms of 3 meters per second or 4 meters per second. The car is making that decision itself, and we're just giving a consistent level of power. In terms of the actual racing itself, we're going to run with unlimited resets today. For definition, a reset is when all 4 wheels of the car go outside of the white lines. The track boss, who will be the person chasing the car, that's not me today. I'm getting some time off. But we'll have some people who will be following the cars. They're there just to catch the car, stop it running off into the barrier too hard, and to help people get a fast lap time by picking the car back up and putting it back where it went off in the event of a reset. And I think that covers it from here from London. We've got 8 models. We've tested them earlier. Most of them seem to run pretty well. We've got 2 cars here in case of any mechanical issues. And that's it. Back to you, Blaine.
All right. Thanks so much, David. And as we talk about our track bosses, let me go ahead and shout out to Maria, Helga, and Boris, whose job it is to chase the cars around the track and make sure they reset them should they go off track. Again, if any single wheel is on the racetrack, that will qualify as still on track. All 4 wheels are off. That'll be a reset. We've got 8 competitors coming from different teams, 4 from Army, 4 from Navy, and they will be competing in alternating order based on reverse qualifying times. So first out of the gate will be from Army, the team name Rolling Pebble, as they were the slowest of our 4 qualifiers. Rolling Pebble is coming out first, followed by Accessible Interface, the Green Machine from Aberdeen, Midden Chinau, Starfleet, Rob K, and our final 2 competitors, Ruiz, USNA, and Doug Racer from the Navy. We'll be going in that order, and as soon as we've got everything set, we will go ahead and turn this over to London, where we'll get racing underway right now. As we go ahead and get ourselves set up, though, we do have some interviews that we're going to cut between. Let's go ahead right now. We've got a car on the track. Let's go ahead and race our first car here, and then while we get it for our second car, we will take a pause for an interview. So are we ready on the track? Here we go.
We're ready here.
All right. And they're off. It's important to know that the drivers, again, only have control over the battery throttle, while we've got our track boss right now chasing the car around the track. This particular model having a little bit of sluggish start coming out of the gate. Some models are able to get themselves going faster. There we go. Able to come around the curve and not making it through. We're hoping for some good times. The world record on this track right now is a little faster than 7.5 seconds. We will get reports from our timekeeper as we go, but this model clearly not behaving itself well. All right, we're getting some good times there. David, while you're there taking a look from what's happening in London, can you take a peek over the timekeeper's shoulder and tell us what sort of times are we seeing right now?
Yeah, so we're looking at a provisional fastest lap here of around 27 seconds. So obviously, fairly expensive on the resets, and as you can see, it's not a particularly consistent model, but when it decides to go fast, it certainly goes fast.
Excellent. All right, so 27 seconds. That's not going to be a winning time, but again, the racers will get faster as we move forward on this particular race. We're just excited to see live racing happening again. We've spent the last number of months doing virtual-only racing, so getting back onto the track, even as we broadcast from London, a wonderful opportunity to see what's going on. Hopefully, as we continue this, Rolling Pebble will get a slightly better time as it creeps across the finish line. David, how much time do we have left?
Yeah, we've got about 40 seconds left on the clock at the moment. Still
awesome.
Looking at
Sounds
that,
good.
Provisional 27 lap time though.
All right. Hopefully shaving a bit more time, coming around a little bit of shaky. This vehicle's having trouble navigating the turns and often just comes to a complete stop. It's not a behavior we normally see in the models, but this one just kind of gets confused, and then speed comes out of nowhere straight into the wall as time continues to bleed. Rolling Pebble, 3 co-workers, Stuart, Maya, Averill, all coming together to have experience, have fun, and as they say, take over the world one race at a time. Crossing the finish line, hoping to improve what they've got. As our time gets close to an end, we'll wait for a final call from our timekeeper, but this may be the end of Rolling Pebble's race.
Yep, that's Rolling Pebble, topping the leaderboard with 27.003 seconds.
Excellent, excellent. Well, as we get ready for our next race, we do want to hear from some of our competitors. First up, we'd like to hear from is an interview with Bo Higgins. It was recorded previously and a chance for us to understand what's happening. Bo Higgins works for AWS, part of our Amazon military affairs team, and let's hear what's happening from them. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. This is Matt Webb. I am a technical program manager in AWS. I'm also the Army lead on the AWS DeepRacer Army-Navy competition. So with me today, I have Bo Higgins, who's the senior manager in Amazon Military Affairs. So really appreciate you having the time this morning to talk with me.
Oh, great to be here, Matt. Really enjoy the partnership from the military affairs team and excited to be here and talk a little bit about our military hiring initiatives.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about you. What is your background? How did you come to Amazon Military Affairs?
Yeah, so I was 25 years in the Marine Corps. I retired about 7 years ago. I spent a couple years working for a company called Custom Cable that actually installed fiber optic cable at Amazon's fulfillment centers. In that job, I was actually trying to sell more cable to Amazon, and in my networking efforts to do that, the friends I called had no idea how to sell Amazon more cable, but they did have an opening within their military affairs team. Or actually, at the time, it was really just kind of our military hiring team. Jeff Bezos had been to the White House back in 2016 and made a pledge to hire 25,000 veterans and military spouses. And Amazon didn't necessarily have a real plan to deliver results on that. So they brought me in to help kind of build out a program about 5 years ago to kind of start the kind of beginnings of our current military affairs team to focus on hiring veterans and military spouses.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know Amazon has a lot of veteran hiring initiatives for veterans and military spouses. I'm sure there are many examples that you've seen of how Amazon has helped out veterans and their spouses. Is there a particular instance that sticks out in your mind, or are there just so many good ones?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the thing that I would say is that, what you realize when you're transitioning from the military, it can be hard, especially if you've been in, 10, 15, 20 years. You tend to become what I call institutionalized, right? You know how to get things done in the military. If you need to get a doctor's appointment or a Humvee or a rifle, whatever it is, you're very independent and know how to accomplish things within kind of the gates of the military. When you leave the military, there's a sense of you loss of purpose, loss of direction, don't really know how to function sometimes. Many folks are kind of it's hard to leave behind what you've been doing. Some folks since they were 17 or 18 years old, some folks since they were 21 years old and been doing it for that long. To have a company that really puts its money where its mouth is in committing to helping veterans not only get jobs but to stay at Amazon and focus on the retention piece, I think is, to me, what has been very rewarding. Because it can be a very stressful, a very scary, a very challenging time for folks that are leaving the service. So, to really be in my opinion, Amazon is now known in the military community as a company that is investing in, hiring our veterans, being there for them, no matter your rank, no matter your MOS, somewhere we have an opportunity for you, and my team is here to help you make that transition. And again, not only transition in, but hopefully to also retain you, whether that means mentoring or upskilling in that side of the programs as well. So again, I think to me, that's the most rewarding piece, is helping so many folks to kind of make that transition from in a very difficult time to kind of the next phase of their life.
Oh no, I completely feel that. I was one of those that enlisted at 17 and did 22 years, and I was very fortunate to come into AWS and and all the support that Amazon's provided in my transition into the non-military world has been great. And I really appreciate it. It's a great opportunity. So shifting gears a little bit, we're doing this Army-Navy DeepRacer competition. Supposed to coincide with the Army-Navy game, which Army should have won. Somebody was wearing a purple jacket and made us lose.
That's right. That was a good luck charm this year.
So what are your thoughts on that competition? Do you see it as a good mechanism for kind of friendly competition to get veteran interest in AI, ML, and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, no, I really love it. And I think hopefully, this year's event, although maybe it was not exactly what we'd hoped due to just some challenges and logistics involved, I think the competition between the Army, Navy, and really between all the academies, and hopefully we can bring in the Air Force next year in the Air Force Academy, it's something it already exists, and it's fun for us as someone that is involved in the military community and has a vested interest in hiring veterans long term. It's a great way for us to, in a fun, kind of fun-spirited way, to highlight some of the things we're doing. And I think another thing is, it exposes, the Academy's students and just some of the fans that may be out there, to the technology things that Amazon is doing. I think one of my I'd say challenge may be the wrong word. One of the concerns sometimes that people think, Amazon, all we do is warehouse work. If you want to go in there and work in a warehouse, do it at Amazon. But, competitions like this expose that, hey, Amazon is at the forefront of AI and machine learning and cool things like that. So we can kind of make it into a game, into a fun competition that can also highlight our focus on technology and STEM education, and a lot of things that the service academies are already doing in their own way. We can kind of highlight that to maybe a broader audience, and not only maybe potentially hire folks that attended the academies, but also expose that to folks that may be at the game or other folks that wouldn't be aware that these things existed by wrapping it around the Army-Navy competition.
No, I 100% agree, and our goal is to broaden it out to the greater DoD community and eventually greater defense community. That's our plan. So, well, we're about wrapping it up. Is there anything you'd like to say about the current initiatives, veteran initiatives that Amazon has going on? And
yeah, I think the big thing to know, and I alluded to a little bit before, is that no matter what your background, no matter your MOS rank in the military, somewhere at Amazon there is a role for you. And more, the technology piece is something that's not going away. And our hiring focus is more and more on that. Whether it be through apprenticeship programs, which again, if you don't have to be in the IT world or the comm world to come in and be in the tech side of things at Amazon. So we have ways that you can come in here with little to no experience in tech and then come in and potentially do an apprenticeship, and we'll treat you the Amazon way. So again, I think don't be scared off by the word tech. I think sometimes military folks like, I'm not a techie guy. I was just a rifleman. I mean, if you have a technical capacity, we can tap into that and we can teach you, the things you need to be successful here as an apprentice. So again, I think that's probably the biggest takeaway for me is, the opportunities in the tech side are growing like crazy at Amazon. We love the work ethic and the experience and the attitude that veterans have. We've seen the proven results that veterans bring to the table at Amazon, and we hope this competition can highlight what some of those tech cool things that we're doing, and maybe show you a path to the future of working at Amazon.
No, that's awesome, Bo. Definitely. And for those that are listening, if you want to get in contact with Bo, or you'll have my contact information and Deb Ruttenberg's contact information, so we'll make sure to pass you over to Bo to answer any questions that you may have.
And we do, just again, feel free to reach out to me as well, Bo Higgins on LinkedIn. Yeah. I'm very active out there. And we also host a series of military and veteran and actually military spouse-focused webinars that talk about the hiring process. If you're interested in learning more, we'd love to have you sign up. I'm sure we can share the link somewhere, and we'd love to have you join us.
Yep, we'll make sure that the link is prominent. Really appreciate it, Bo.
You got it, Matt. My pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much for that wonderful opportunity to learn a little bit more about what's happening with AWS and how it works there. Let's go ahead and get back to some live racing. We've got some cars on the track right now, and we are looking at Rewards Make F1. This is our first Navy competitor. Here we got Michael Hanna and Mickey Hall, both part of this team. London, when you are ready, let's take this car live.
Yeah, we're starting now.
And there we go. Rewards Make F1 is underway and barely across the line. A little bit of a slow start there again, getting going and straight into the blue wall. We do expect some good results out of this particular racer. The team name, Rewards Make F1, actually competed in our first competition back in March. They came in, they actually competed as Shallow Blue Racer, came in 5th place in the community race. Both Mike and Mickey are information warfare officers in the Navy, and we're getting almost what seems some good time, but at the very end, just wanted to splash into the blue, ruining what could have been a good lap. Hopefully we'll get some good times as we move forward. Let's see. Right now, we've got 2 minutes and 12 seconds. All we are looking for is one good individual lap, and this vehicle does look like it's able to get some good speed. We'll hopefully be able to get it to have consistency as it goes around the track, but right now, not doing so well. While we're doing that again, let me give a shout out to our track bosses that are out there racing around in their socks. We've got Maria, Helga, and Boris will be switching on and off. They wear their socks to not tear up the track, but it does mean we get to see them sliding around quite a bit as they chase the cars. 1 minute, 30 seconds left, hopefully trying to make some good time. David, let's go ahead and get a check-in with our scorekeeper. What are we seeing so far on this racer?
Yeah, consistency seems to be a bit of a problem for this race here, often going off on this penultimate corner. The fastest provisional lap we've got so far was that second lap with a time just over 16 seconds. Would have been slightly quicker, but again, it went off on that penultimate corner. So it seems to be relatively consistent as a model, but it just needs that one good lap.
Yep. And that's, again, it's all we take. All we really need is to have one beautiful lap. But right now, that final turn towards home, the vehicle just consistently wants to splash out into the blue. Here we go. 45 seconds left. Plenty of time to make a dramatic moment, but it's chasing itself into the corner, forcing our track boss to continue to chase it down to get this thing back online. 30 seconds remaining. Will there be enough time? Again, got to get around, got to get a reset. This was not a good lap, but 22 seconds. Can we do it? Can we get a good lap right now? Finding its way, coming around the corner, and an off track will doom this one into not being able to finish on time. This could spell the end for rewards make F1. 5 seconds left. We'll probably not even get to register this one as a time. 2, 1, and this ends. Rewards make F1 for the Navy. All right, we will wait for our scorekeepers now to post an official time, and they judge as they go through all the times. The timekeeper makes sure that all the times are valid and ready to go, and then they post it. There we go, an official time of 16.079 for rewards make F1. Provisionally, that puts them in first place, but with a lot of racing to go, we do expect those times to drop. Coming up next, our second competitor from the Army is the Green Machine from Aberdeen. Now, this was our earlier March 21 second runner-up, so we expect some really great times. London, when you are ready, let's go.
Yep, we're ready. Just starting now.
And we are underway. It's important to know that while it looks like it's the same car that got put on the track, they actually swap out which artificial intelligence is in the vehicle as each new racing team comes up. The racing teams competing in from all over the United States control the percentage of throttle, but the vehicle itself determines how fast, how slow, right, left, and this vehicle seems to have a pretty good feel of the track and velocity. That's a great time going around. David, tell me what kind of times the timekeeper's seeing.
Yeah, so that second lap there is a provisional time of 12.664 seconds. Good enough for first place, assuming we don't change it afterwards. So pretty good run there. Sadly, going off on that third lap, but seems to be able to do a good lap, and then I guess it just kind of falls off the edge a little bit as we're trying to get it to go a bit faster. So essentially what we do is we try get a base speed set to try and get a few consistent laps, and once we've done that, we just try and increase the speed to try and improve on the lap time there.
Excellent. Well, as we're improving on the time, that 12 seconds, that's a good provisional time. It's clearly not a record. We recently ran a competition in Washington, D.C., where we saw times live on this physical track at around 8 seconds. We were live in Las Vegas earlier this year at reInvent. Again, times in the low 8 seconds. So while 12 seconds is good, we still have a lot of competition coming left, fighting the Green Machine from Aberdeen fighting to get something going here. 1 minute, 20 seconds left. Let's get a shout out to their team members, Jerry, Bob, Tara. All of these are professionals from the Communications Electronics Command's Software Engineering Center in Maryland at the Aberdeen Proving Ground. Interesting fact that they want you to know as part of their team, that if you were to line them up end to end, they are, in fact, 16 feet and 11 inches. Now that you know that, we have 50 seconds left for the green machine from Aberdeen to try to make their case why they should win this year's Army-Navy competition. However, you've got a vehicle that is not cooperating. Our track boss is wearing holes in her socks, just trying to keep this car on the track. 30 seconds left. Is this going to go? We've got a new faster lap according to our timekeeper. David, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so the previous lap, we came in at 10.784. So when it's consistent, it's quick. In fact, that lap just gone is a 10.534 as a provisional lap time. So nice there with no resets.
All right, 10.5. That's a good competitive time. As we look at the kind of competition times we're seeing with these players, 10.5 could be a podium level time as we move forward. With no time left, we'll go ahead and wait for this to post on the official timekeepers list and see what we get. And now we've got an official time. 10.534 is our timing now for Green Machine from Aberdeen. With that, we now move back into our Navy competition. But before we do that, I want to give a special shout out to the Travis Manion Foundation. The Travis Manion Foundation was our sponsor here for the Army-Navy game. We were supposed to do this live actually at the football game out there. We weren't able to do that for reasons. We won't go into that, but they continue to sponsor us. We're excited for the chance to continue to work with the Travis Manion Foundation and all their sponsorship. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get back to racing as our track boss takes off the jacket. They are warming up. This is a lot of work. There is no reason for a gym membership, folks, if you are a track boss. So let's begin. Navy. This is the United States Naval Academy Machine Learning Team. Woof. We're going to just call this the USNA ML or USNAMALT. That's what we got. USNAMALT is on the track, and they are rolling right now. Let's see what they can do as Midshipman Chenau, along with the team, continues to see what they can do here on their first lap. All right, they've got a good time going started. Lots of velocity, but a couple off tracks right there on the first corner. Let's see if we can get a different velocity, moving it through, able to handle the S-turns. Now, can it come around to... Nope. That penultimate turn drives right into the wall, and here we go. Third lap underway, keeping a tire on the track, trying to stay valid, but not able to finish that first corner right around there. Folks, this USNAMALT team is part of a group of midshipmen that all right now are part of the Naval Academy. They are passionate about artificial intelligence and machine learning. This is a club that was founded fall of last year. It is entirely student-led. There are no officers. There are no professors that are involved with creation or training of the models. It is entirely done by students. So we're very excited to see how this model behaves. And right now it is fighting its way to stay on track. It definitely likes to stay on the outside as it goes around the corner. Now that's unique because this model was trained to focus on the center line itself. I want to talk about training while we watch the USNAMALT vehicle continue its way around. This is not the way you would normally train a vehicle if you were doing self-driving cars. There's many types of machine learning that are available for people to use. We talk about supervised machine learning, where you basically go and tell the computer, I want you to do this, and they show them thousands of pictures, millions of pictures of what they want the vehicle to do, and then the vehicle does what it's told to do. Or unsupervised learning is another variation of that. This is called reinforcement learning. And the best way to actually get an understanding of reinforcement learning is to think about training a dog. And when you train a dog, the best you can do is give the dog treats if the dog does behavior you want, and you don't reward behavior that you don't want. In this case, the developer, USNA this team of midshipmen, have built what's called a reward function. And that reward function, then the vehicle says, all right, what happens if I turn right or turn left when I see this? Do I get rewarded? If so, then the machine learns to do certain behavior based on a reward function. But it's teaching itself. And so once it's on the track, based on how it taught itself, it behaves certain ways. Sometimes it does what you expect. Sometimes it drives itself into a wall. And with that, this actually ends the run for the United States Naval Academy Machine Learning Team, coming in at 16.358 seconds. A great run, not a top run, but certainly something to be proud of for this group of midshipmen. All right, that takes us through half of our racers today for this Army-Navy competition. Next up, we're going back to the Army with Starfleet. Starfleet with Adam, Joey, and Gabrielle on the team. And London, when you are ready, let's launch Starfleet, and here we go. Kind of creeping out of the gate as Starfleet decides it wants to go straight into the wall, having a little trouble navigating the curve as we try to see what's going to be the best choice for this particular model. Starfleet with Adam, Joey, and Gabrielle, all part of the R Cyber SEAD group, wanted to see who was a part of an interesting project. They wanted to be a chance to explore machine learning, a chance to have a opportunity to build and plan out the approach. They love technology, they love space, and so they've named their team Starfleet. By the way, all of their individual tech models are named after celestial bodies, so let's see if this particular model can figure out how to launch itself and stay on path. Does not seem to be going too well. David, tell me the kind of problems you're seeing there on the track. What could be causing the vehicle to continue to be driving off track like it is?
Yeah, I think on this model, it's looking at there's a slight shadow on the edge of the track that's caused by the barriers, and I think it's being slightly attracted to that. It doesn't look like it's actually a problem with the car, which is my initial concern because it kept on steering to the right. But you can see on some of the other corners, the car and the model are definitely doing input changes to the steering and also slightly to the throttle as well. And it is making some of the corners, albeit with a lot of help from the track boss. So I think this is being affected more by the lighting and the physical conditions. So it could be a case that in terms of training, it was maybe slightly overtrained in the virtual world on one specific track, rather than trained on a number of different tracks to give it that advantage that it would then need in the physical world. Overtraining in the virtual world, it's, the environment is very fixed. The lighting conditions are very sorted in the virtual world, whereas obviously here we're subject to lighting conditions and also color changes of the track. So the colors of the printed circuit and the barriers maybe not quite the same. The physical condition of the car itself, and then obviously just the overall lighting conditions. So if it's been overtrained in the virtual world, the way it sees the corner might be slightly different to the way it's actually seeing it here in the physical world, which will have that impact on the model itself. The car itself is still actually working, and it is trying to go around the corners. It's just I think the model is not that well trained for the physical world.
And just for those of you that have not seen DeepRacer live, it's important to acknowledge that these vehicles get trained in a virtual environment. It's actually the same kind of engine that we use to train rovers that will be doing work on the moon. I had a chance to talk with some people that are using the same engine we use for DeepRacer that they use to train the lunar rover, because the virtual environment has all of the physics that you would expect in the real world or the real moon. You can control gravity and friction and velocity, but it's also based on what's there. And if you only train in one virtual world, when you get into the physical world, your ability to see the track, as David mentioned, could be compromised. In this case, Starfleet did not have the voyage they were expecting, coming in at a time of 36.420. Not what we were hoping for, but again, a great opportunity to see how the translation from the virtual world moves on to the physical world. So wonderful job there for Starfleet. Let's move on to our next competitor from the Navy. This is Deep Blue Sea. London, when you are ready, let's begin.
And go.
And Deep Blue Sea creeps over the line, immediately decides it doesn't want to go, and then dives off into the center field. Now, this is surprising that our track boss is now chasing a vehicle down because Rob Kiesler, Director of Data Science for the Naval Information Warfare Center, NIWICS, Rob Kiesler was actually our 2021 March winner. So we certainly expect a little bit of a better experience here. We've gone ahead, done a full reset back on the track, and the clock has stopped at 2 minutes and 30 seconds while our track team takes a look and sees, is there some problem why that vehicle was doing nothing but donuts there in the center field? Go ahead and wait for some word from London. David, can you give us any insight into what's happening right now?
Yep, so we're just reloading the model onto the car to see if that fixes the problem. If that doesn't fix the problem, we'll swap cars. We have another car here that we can swap to if needs be. So we'll reload the model, we'll resume time, we'll give that a go. If the same thing happens, what we'll do is we will change models, and at that point, we will reset the time back to 3 minutes.
All right. Well, while we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and post here on the stream what the leaderboard looks like currently. Let's go ahead and give a review of what we are seeing. As we take a look at the leaderboard right now, our top 3 positions, we've got the Green Machine from Aberdeen with a great time of 10.53 seconds. Rewards Make F1 from the Navy at 16.079. And right now sitting in 3rd place, the U.S. Naval Academy, 16.358. And of course, Rolling Pebble and Starfleet also have competed. We've got 3 competitors that are coming up next. We've got Deep Blue Sea, hopefully not turning donuts out there. And finally, 2 competitors from the Army. We're going to have the Black Knights representing the United States Military Academy. And finally, Doug Racer will be our last competitor. So with 3 people to go, we will see, can the Green Machine from Aberdeen at 10.534 seconds hold as our number 1 competitor. We are getting word from our pit boss that we are swapping out vehicles and see if a new vehicle can solve this particular problem. In the meantime, as we take a look again at the process, we now have the new car on track. Each vehicle gets loaded with the machine learning model, and then what you basically have is the world's fastest rolling laptop. It's a rolling Linux machine that right now has decided to go backwards. This is not what we expect from Deep Blue Sea. Rob Kiesler has again been our champion from our last competition, from our first one, having a vehicle that just does not know which way is straight. This is not what we are expecting. All right, while we go ahead and wait for this, we've got another interview we'd like to go ahead and go to. We had a conversation earlier with Hugo Lentz. And Hugo Lentz is our Chief Strategic Partners Officer. Let's go ahead and hear what Matt Webb had to say when he talked with Hugo earlier.
All right. Hello, everyone. Just to introduce myself, my name is Matt Webb. I am the Army rep for the Army-Navy DeepRacer Competition, AWS DeepRacer Competition. With me this morning, I have Hugo Lentz, who's the Chief Partnership Officer at the Travis Manion Foundation. Hey, good morning, Hugo.
Good morning.
Hey, so the reason Hugo's on is that the Travis Manion Foundation and AWS have been teaming on the Army-Navy DeepRacer Competition, and we were going to have a watch party at the Army-Navy football game, but the whole COVID situation kind of prevented that. So looking forward to doing it next year, and it was great. We got to meet Hugo and Krista and the entire TMF team, so it was fabulous. So if you got a few seconds, Hugo, I'd like to talk a little bit about your military background and kind of what led you to the TMF. And
Sure.
Yeah.
So I was in the Army for 22 years. I grew up in northern New York, joined the Army, went to West Point, and flew first Hueys and then Blackhawks. And when I was in the Army, I was like, as long as it stays interesting and fun, I'll keep doing it. And it stayed interesting and fun for 22 years. I deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, Haiti. Spent a year and a half in Korea. 2 tours at Fort Drum. So I love being in the Army, and I missed it. And that kind of led me to Travis Manion Foundation in a kind of roundabout way.
Okay. And how did you find out, like, how did you get to the Travis Manion Foundation? I mean, it's not like, I mean, obviously it's a better charity, but.
Yeah, it wasn't a direct route. So I got out. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I ended up at a small manufacturing firm. I'm near Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Hated it. It was just not what I was used to. I ended up working at a bike shop because I like to cycle, and I thought I'd give that a try. And one day, our president, Ryan Manion, who is Travis's sister, came in to buy a bike, and we started chatting. And she said, "Hey, give me a call one day. We're thinking about expanding one of our programs." So I started working at Travis Manion Foundation in January of 2015, initially in a transition program that we had. But now I've kind of moved on to kind of a development role and as you said, partnership. So the thing that Amazon and TMF have is part of my role. So again, kind of a roundabout way, our slogan, our motto is, if not me, then who? And so I realized that my service in the Army was encapsulated by those 5 words, if not me, then who? So it was a natural fit.
Yeah, absolutely. And as an Army veteran myself, I completely feel you. 22 years also.
Yeah, awesome.
So you've been with Travis Manion for quite a while now, and I know they've done a huge amount of work in the veteran community. Is there any, I know there's many examples, I'm sure, but is there any particular instance that like sticks out in your mind of a time when the TMF helped a veteran?
Yeah, so I think what's interesting is we focus on positive psychology, and part of that is thriving. And the components of thriving that Travis Manion Foundation focuses on is having a sense of meaning and purpose, having positive relationships, and being engaged, utilizing your strengths. And so we create opportunities for people to do that. And one that stands out in my mind is a guy named Chuck, who was a Marine, was working at Home Depot, kind of on the floor at Home Depot. Was happy, but got introduced to Travis Manion Foundation and actually served with Travis himself.
Oh, wow.
And saw Ryan speak. So again, Ryan is our president, Travis's sister. Ryan was speaking at Home Depot, and Chuck went up to her afterwards and said, "Hey, I served with Travis." And that just started this relationship of, I think he would admit kind of a little bit lost and kind of trying to figure out what was going to give his life that sense of meaning and purpose. And he got involved with TMF, and he still works for Home Depot, but now is actually in their philanthropy department, in their foundation department, and has switched jobs and is deeply involved with TMF. And I would say he would admit freely that getting involved with TMF gave him kind of a new purpose and a new lease on life. And he's super involved with us now. So having that sense of meaning and purpose again, having those relationships and utilizing your strengths to do good in the community is what we focus on. And Chuck is kind of a personification of that.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I know that Travis Manion Foundation has done such great work over the years through a broad array of veterans, Chuck included. And, it's so great to be able to partner and team with you and your organization. So I know we're running short on time, but is there anything else you'd like us to think about with the TMF, and what are your thoughts on the DeepRacer competition?
So listen, I'll be totally honest. When we first started about DeepRacer, started talking about it, made my head hurt of trying to kind of conceptualize what this is. But did a little research. Obviously, had a chat with you. And listen, it's all one team, one fight. Army versus Navy is kind of the classic thing. But if we're working together and competing against each other to advance technology and make the world a better place, I mean, that's a great thing. And if it takes a little bit of friendly rivalry to do that, that's awesome. It's fun to have the Army versus Navy thing, whether it's football or DeepRacer. The machine learning and I mean, it's really cool stuff. Again, makes my head hurt a little bit. But once I wrapped my head around it, I was like, wow, this is really cool. And advancing the technology to make the world a better place is a great thing. And I'm glad Amazon is doing that.
Yeah, well, like I said, we really, really enjoy our partnership and teamwork with you. And hopefully, I'm thinking the Army's going to pull it out, unlike the football game. So I'm definitely rooting for the Army. Little bias there.
For sure. I mean, we didn't cut it on the football field, but hopefully DeepRacer Army's going to come ahead. So and we're looking already at 2022. So good stuff.
Absolutely. All right, Hugo. Hey, thank you very much for your time this morning, and looking forward to next year and collaborating in the future.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be exciting times. Thanks a lot, Matt.
All right.
It's so good to hear from Hugo and the wonderful things that TMF is doing. We are still in a tech hold as we continue to work on making sure we've got our vehicles ready to go. In the meantime, for those of you that are watching the competition and thinking this is fun, as we watch the opportunity to see vehicles that are driving themselves, that are part of this competition, and you say, hey, I want to play with this, but where do I get started? And the answer is anybody can be part of DeepRacer. We have competitions going on constantly. In fact, right now we're going to go ahead and post in chat here for those of you that are here on the Twitch channel. We're going to go ahead and give you a link where you can go and start playing with DeepRacer today. And we've got an opportunity for anybody to come. No programming experience necessary. You do not need to be a developer. While there is a little bit of code you need to be able to look at and understand, we've got code samples that are there for you to play with. Right now, we've go ahead and got the link right there on the page. Matt, AWS, has posted it. So go to AWS at Amazon.com/DeepRacer and see how you can be part of it. We've got open competitions available for everyone. And while this competition is exclusively for people in Army or Navy, we do have it open for any soldier, sailor, Marine, civilian, or contractor. For this competition, for the general global competition, it can be anyone. We've had high school kids from Australia who end up competing. We've got parents, moms, dads, uncles, anyone who looks at this and says, this is going to be fun. We want them to get a chance to play with it and see how machine learning can be used in not only for purposes like this, but a chance to understand how artificial intelligence can be applied to many things. The reason we talked earlier today about the fact that what you are watching is reinforcement learning. We chose this specifically because, as Hugo mentioned, this can give people a bit of a headache. In fact, the first time someone tried to explain it to me, I'm going, well, why would you do it this way? And the answer is because it allows the machine, the artificial intelligence, to come up with ideas that humans have never come up with. If I'm simply teaching a machine to do this, it's going to repeat back and do what I told it to do. Okay, that's nice, that's fun. But reinforcement learning allows the machine to come up with new creative ways that nobody thought of. So right now we're seeing the vehicle drive around a track, and that makes sense. But imagine that you are trying to come up with the perfect HVAC system that's running heating and cooling through a building. Well, you could give a machine learning reinforcement learning model reinforcement models, reward models to say, well, don't have a lot of kinks in the pipe because I want the airflow to be nice and smooth, and make sure it's not in the middle of someone's walkway so someone's head doesn't bonk into them. But beyond that, see what you can find. And let the machine try and experiment with different ways to run the pipes through a building, and you'll come up with architectures that nobody has expected. So this is one of the cool things we're seeing. Now, that's just one example. We're seeing people in pharmaceuticals. We're seeing people in the military. We're seeing people in agriculture. We're seeing all sorts of different industries. Even fashion has come up with things they've done with machine learning reinforcement that has created new opportunities around the world. All right, let's take a pause here and look live inside pit row as our vehicles right now are being fixed and retrained. They're going through a calibration series right now as we see our pit crew going through and making sure that the car understands which way is forward and which way is back. As the vehicle then learns that, the machine learning model then can control the car. But right now, our vehicles seem to be having a little bit more difficulty of what's going on getting that calibration right. I know that David right now has his head down there. Do we have any one of our other pit crew from London that's willing to take the mic and talk to us what's happening? Maria, Helga, Boris, any of you want to say what's going on in London?
Yeah, we're just having a slight technical with both cars at the same time. I'm not sure who I can blame for this. No one here was saying that the cars were running well, so we can't pin that one on anyone here. Just one of those times where the don't behave quite as expected, and of course, in that way, these things happen. Both cars deciding to have a slight crisis of personality at the same time. So we're just rebooting the cars in that typical IT fix of turning it off and on again, and we are hopefully going to get them calibrated and back up and running shortly. Just taking a few minutes at the moment.
You know, it's classic IT. We got a lot of technicians that are here watching right now, and yeah, turn it off, turn it on. Sometimes it's exactly what you need. So the vehicle's going through a full reset. Hopefully, we'll be able to start again and get back and get going. In the meantime, as we move, Matt's posted again. If you want to get started and be part of the global AWS DeepRacer League, go ahead and give us a shout out. This is a virtual competition for most of the year. We do have physical races that are part of the AWS Summit, but you do not need to leave your house, which means it doesn't matter where you're calling in from. If you are watching coming in from anywhere around the world, then you will be able to be a part of the league and see what's happening. And actually compete no matter who you are, what age. If you're still confused about what DeepRacer is, let's go ahead and take a moment and show you a little bit deeper into what AWS DeepRacer actually can do for you. AWS DeepRacer is the fastest way to get rolling on your machine learning journey. Developers of all skill levels, including those with no prior machine learning experience, can take advantage of DeepRacer by completing hands-on training to build reinforcement models to race for prizes and glory. The DeepRacer ecosystem teaches you the fundamentals of reinforcement learning with educational resources, an easy-to-use console, and real self-driving RC cars. Get started quickly with interactive tutorials and free workshops. Walking step by step through the process, DeepRacer helps you build your first reinforcement learning model in minutes. Go hands-on with the AWS DeepRacer console, an environment to train and evaluate your machine learning models. This console environment helps build the foundational skill sets to develop reinforcement learning for any use case. Once your model is created and trained, the real fun begins in the AWS DeepRacer League. Developers compete monthly by submitting their best models to new tracks in an attempt to climb the leaderboard, win prizes, and earn a qualifying spot to race for the AWS DeepRacer Championship Cup. For even more fun with reinforcement learning, see your models at work in the real world with the AWS DeepRacer device, a 1/18th scale fully autonomous car. This allows you to observe and evaluate your model's decision-making in a physical setting. Shift your machine learning journey into high gear and start racing today with AWS DeepRacer. All right. We are continuing to hold here on pit row. We've got 3 racers left to go. Let's go ahead and bring the leaderboard back up here for everyone. And by the way, we've got a link right now in chat. If you want to keep an eye on the leaderboard when people are racing, when we get back to racing, you'll be able to see how much time is left. But right now, Green Machine from Aberdeen holding on to that #1 spot. The Navy won the first competition in March of 2021. Right now, the Army is holding the first place here, but with 3 racers to go, 2 from Navy, 1 left from Army, will 10.534 be enough for Army to take the crown in this second competition? We're very excited to be running this competition. Again, this is exclusive here for the military. This is our second competition, which we will continue to be doing every year in December. Our next event already is scheduled for December 2022. So if you're watching going, I can do better, and you think you can do better, and we hope you can do better, make sure you take a chance to sign up and be part of this competition for December as it moves. All right, let's go ahead and check back in with London and see how we are doing. David, can you give us an update on how Pit Row is moving forward?
Yeah, we've got one of the cars back up and running. We just did a quick test run with one of our sort of standard test models, and it seems to be performing okay. So we're going for a reload of the Deep Blue Sea model, and hopefully we'll get some lap times going from that one.
All right. Well, now that Deep Blue Sea is back up, we'll make sure we got a good test and everything's working. We will start Deep Blue Sea again from a full 3 minutes. We'll go ahead and scrap the 30 seconds that Deep Blue Sea thought it wanted to drive backwards. We're going to assume that was not a normal race. And from there, Rob Kiesler, Deep Blue Sea, is going to get us a chance to see how well they do. Rob, again, is the director of data science at NIWIX out of Charleston, South Carolina. Fun fact that you might not know, Rob Kiesler went to Clemson and then the Citadel. What you may not know is Robert Jordan, who wrote The Wheel of Time, also went to Clemson and the Citadel and lives in Charleston, right where Rob lives. So if you're loving The Wheel of Time, which right now is available on Amazon Prime, not giving that as a promotion, but hey, why not? You can find both of them in Charleston should you want to look them up. All right. Let's go ahead and see if we can get back on the track. We are there. Can we get a thumbs up from our pit boss there in the middle? We are all set to go. We are happy. Let's get started again with Deep Blue Sea. We are off. We are driving mostly forward, a little bit into the grass, but certainly better than going backwards. Seems to be attracted to our pit boss director there. Nope, not able to make it around, but let's see if we can get a little more consistency as we start to move around the track. Getting into the S turns there, regularly pushing forward into that center track. I am getting a notice, by the way, that if you do want to say hello to Robert Jordan, who wrote The Wheel of Time, good luck with that. He did pass away in 2007. I'm not saying you can't meet him, but if you do, please let us know how that works out. I would love details on that particular visit. As we continue to move forward, it looks like Deep Blue Sea keeps wanting to go into the deep blue infield. Just not able to get any consistent moving forward, regularly turning left, not able to make anything happen. David, can you give us any views into what might be going on here?
I'm not sure if he's attracted to the track boss's socks or just enjoys giving us the runaround. So when we hit problems with it previously, it was constantly turning to the right. Now it seems to be constantly turning to the left. So I guess we fixed one problem and maybe created another one. We let it run for a second, but we can. I think we might have another version of this model to try, which I'm going to just check in a second, and we'll get that onto the car and give that a run. As I said, before we went back to running this model, we did give it a run through with a test model that we have here, and that was performing as expected. So I'm not sure what's quite going on here, whether it's the model or the car. I think at the moment I'm kind of pointing the finger at the model.
All right, so this may not be a technical problem. We may simply have a model that is not behaving. And this actually is not uncommon with reinforcement learning models, similar to, see in there, the vehicle made that turn very well and then just decided at the last minute that it really loves our pit boss's socks. Something about them just seemed to be exactly where it wants to go, as opposed to being able to get us forward. But right now, let's see if we can get any kind of good time as we watch Deep Blue Sea struggling with just 20 seconds left in this particular run. Does not look like Deep Blue Sea is able to go. We know the model's working. It's been able to go straight a few times, but in this case, nothing good has happened. This will be the end of Deep Blue Sea's run. A shame because, again, Rob Kiesler, who was our March 2021 overall winner, not able to post a good time. That will be the end of it, as Navy comes in with a time of only, oops, can't see it right there. There it is. 35.969 was their average time. 31.433 is where they ended up. A number 5 position. Disappointing run for Deep Blue Sea, while Green Machine from Aberdeen continues to hold on to the number 1 position. There are only 2 racers left in this particular race. Next up is the Black Knights, representing the United States Military Academy. And while the Black Knights take the track, let me clue you into a bonus race that is actually going to happen after we finish racing all 8 tracks. We have a final challenge that we will get to see, which is going to be the U.S. Naval Academy versus the U.S. Military Academy, West Point, to see which of those 2 academies come out ahead, head-to-head, 1 against 1. Black Knights will be the representative for the Military Academy. So while they're here competing right now for the overall trophy, we will see them again later today, going head-to-head against the Naval Academy. With that being said, we are right now making sure that we've got the new model loaded up onto the vehicle. Once we are loaded, we will get a thumbs up from our pit boss, and we will begin Black Knights as the final racer here. Now, while we're waiting for this, we do have some interesting conversations on chat that's happening. Before I get to that, though, we did just get an announcement that we are invalidating the last run right now from Rob Kiesler. We are going to load a different model. That one did not seem to go. We've got it was rejected. So Rob Kiesler will get a second chance being loaded right now. So Deep Blue Sea will be racing again at this moment. So hopefully we'll see something better. Now, as we come back to then after Rob Kiesler, we will have Black Knights, and then our final racer of the day from Navy will be Doug Racer, which will wrap up the 8 competitors going for this year's Cup. Now, while we wait, and we'll go ahead and let Deep Blue Sea start as soon as they are ready. Do not wait for me, folks. There's a question in chat talking about reinforcement learning models. And Murray MD asks, at one point, we've said that waypoints are one of the strongest components to work into the learning models. The question is, what we say are the top 3 tools or functions to learn in, to work in for the best results? This really becomes a fascinating conversation. And as we look at the DeepRacer community, as they've gone ahead and focused on optimizing and getting some of the best results, the waypoints driven model really has come across as the best way to get the results. Other models where you focus just on center line or other type of directional elements don't have the same advantage that waypoints does, but that's only part of your equation. The other part of the equation is to try to optimize for speed and consistency. We get a lot of models that, for example, can be very fast on the track, but are unable to stay on the track. And right now, as we see, Deep Blue Sea is back again. This model is just unable to maintain any kind of track consistency, still turning into our pit boss's socks. So designing a model that, even though you've got waypoints as the directional component, also adapts for the consistency, penalizing severely any off track, becomes an option to put in your toolkit. And then depending on the track you're running, that may be your go-to model, especially once you get into things like obstacle avoidance and other pieces. All right, Rob's car is back on the track. This is Deep Blue Sea. We've got 1 minute gone, 2 minutes left. David, do you want to give us a little insight into how the vehicle is behaving now?
Looks to be behaving in a relatively similar manner. The model's definitely working. We've seen it on the straight it's on now, where it's going straight for a bit, then turning left, and it seems to be losing sight of the track, or it's going towards something else that it's seeing maybe slightly further away, maybe a shadow or something. It depends on how it's been trained from that point of view. But it's, in terms of the model itself, it is definitely trying to drive the car, and it's not. I'm not seeing this as a fault with the car, because again, just there, it's trying to drive straight. Coming to the corner as it's going through now, it's definitely taking turning inputs, but then it just doesn't seem to see the end of the turn and just carries on going. So whether that's going towards a shadow it's seeing slightly further ahead, or maybe it's having some problems recognizing. I think the important thing to note is, whilst the colours on the track are relatively high contrast against each other, the inference is actually done in grayscale. So whilst it's running at 15 frames per second, making its decision what it's going to do next, the actual image it's working on is grayscale and not in color. So shadows can have
David, one of the things that you've talked about is this idea of training models in different types of environments, not overfitting. And overfitting becomes one of the big dangers we run into with machine learning, where a vehicle or any kind of machine learning model ends up repeating the same function very well over and over until it gets to a new environment. And in this case, this vehicle is able to steer, it is able to make adjustments, but for some reason, this environment is just confusing it. David, you talked about some strategies to avoid overfitting, and what were some other ones that you were thinking of?
It depends on where you're racing, to be honest. If you are racing fully virtual, then overfitting is a valid strategy, and we have various members of the DeepRacer community who completely overfit their models for the virtual environment. They only train on that month's track. They will set very fast times, and they work. And as a strategy, it works very well for them. The problem you have is then when you take that overfitted model from the virtual track and put it on the same physical track, even the same design, because the lighting conditions are slightly different, the track shape is slightly different from when it's been printed versus in the virtual world, the barriers and that sort of thing, you can find it makes a difference to how the model performs that you wouldn't really expect it to do. So if you're looking at training for a physical world, what you tend to do is do shorter amounts of training on more tracks rather than a large amount of training on the same track.
Well, it's pretty clear that whichever model Deep Blue Sea had, in this case, the overfitting just was not able to overcome that, did not improve on the previous model, so staying at the time of 31 seconds. Again, disappointment for Deep Blue Sea, but now let us move into our final two competitors. On the track right now, we do have the Black Knights representing the United States Military Academy. Are we loaded up? Are we ready to go? And with that, the Black Knights are underway. The vehicle is not turning into the infield. It's able to make around the first corner, but dives immediately off into the blue as our pit boss now has to chase down the vehicle and get that back onto the track. There's a question right now, while we've got our pit boss getting her steps in, how does putting the car back on the track affect this machine learning? In this case, because the track boss actually sets the car down and puts it into position before releasing it, there is a new image that comes into the vehicle. The vehicle makes a decision many times a second, and I will let our technicians actually give the exact number of decisions per second that it goes through. So there's immediately new input, and while I'm sure it's confused while it's flying through space to get back on the track, Once it's there, it gets a new picture and says, all right, I know where to go, or in some cases, where not to go. But it really should not have that big of an effect that we're seeing, that once it's down and set, a new decision gets made and it moves forward. In the meantime, our pit boss is sliding around in their socks. Is it fun? Yes, it's fun. It's one of the more enjoyable things. All of our pit bosses today are solutions architects working out of London. We were very grateful for London to be the host of this particular competition. They are all set for us, and a special thanks again to Maria, Helga, Boris, who are out there on the track, getting their steps in, getting their workout. Thanks to them. And now let's see how we are doing as we move forward. We got 1 minute left. David, by the way, David, you're an Army vet yourself, but talk to me about how Army is doing right now here in this particular run.
It's actually not doing too badly. We've got a couple of good laps going through. It's having a couple of problem corners. So like the first corner coming into the chicane and that penultimate corner seems to be consistently causing it some problems. We've got a best lap time currently of 21.848 is our provisional fastest lap time. I have to say, as an ex-Army, it's good to see the Army currently top of the leaderboard.
All right, so 24 seconds. That does not break it into the top three. This is a good vehicle, but we're trying again to get that right pace. There are only 30 seconds left for the Black Knights to try to make it, and one more, get an off track, and it's a fast off track that sends our pit boss racing to try to get the vehicle back and reset. Hyperion's asking about more in-house spectator events. We certainly are hoping for more as we get back to live summits, and we do have many live summits that are planned for 2022, and we will have live racing there, assuming everything works out. That's the goal. We obviously can't, say that we will, but we will do the best we can. But that ends the race for the Black Knights, as we go ahead and check the leaderboard right now and see the Black Knights coming in fourth with a time of 21.848. It's a great time, but does not threaten the Green Machine from Aberdeen, as Army holds on desperately to that number one place. Again, Army lost the first competition. They are right now in first place, but Navy has one more racer to go. Navy is not going to sit quietly and let the Army take this one. They want to retain control of this particular cup. And so now Navy goes ahead and moves forward with Doug Racer on the track. Doug Racer, who was our fastest qualifier, actually qualified in the virtual world with a time of 6.866. So a lot of good opportunities here, but can Doug Racer, who is raced by Doug Wozniak, a solo racer, just him and a bunch of cloud computers, will they be able to get a time better than 10.534? And right now, the question is, will Doug Racer even get around the track in a decent time to make the top three? All right. Looking around, here we go. Doug Racer creeping a little slower, trying to see if we can navigate the turns. It tries to make the turn, but does not seem to be able to get a good running start. Here we go on lap number 2. Doug Racer, who again clocked a time of 6.866 in the virtual world, only able to get times above 30 seconds right now here in the physical world. Sometimes that translation from virtual to physical just does not work well. It's one of the reasons, again, we are hoping for more physical racing. And we're getting some word back from our track bosses that this model performance actually seems kind of what they've seen before. So this is not unexpected behavior to our test crew, which is unfortunate, but hopefully we're going to find a good speed where we will get this particular racer moving forward, getting a good speed. This is Doug Racer racing for the Navy, hoping to knock off the Green Machine from Aberdeen, but we will see what happens. Now, just again, preview what's going to happen. We got 1 minute left of Doug Racer. Before we actually give out the trophies and make our final awards, we are going to have a special bonus race that's going to come up next between the U.S. Naval Academy versus the U.S. Military Academy, or West Point. And we've got both of those racers actually queued up with interviews. We're going to get a chance to hear from both teams coming up after Doug Racer is finished. So before we hand out the awards, stick around for the bonus race in 30 seconds. We've got a couple questions. Someone was wanted to know, does the shadow of the track boss affect the vehicle? And because our track boss is actually standing behind them, it's not enough to actually make any effect. We are asking, are there hardware issues with the vehicle? We're certainly going to take a look at that. This again is part of what on-track competition is. Sometimes the vehicles end up having problems. That's why we swap them out. In this case, the model behaved the same for both vehicles, so we're not exactly sure if it is a vehicle or just a problem as we move to the physical world. But this does end Doug Racer's competition, coming in at only 38 seconds. Does not knock off the Green Machine from Aberdeen, but we are not going to give out trophies yet. We are not going to give awards yet, because we right now want to take a moment and have a grudge match. This is the match. It's a friendly grub match. Friendly. Yeah. We are right now going between the U.S. Naval Academy top racer, which is the midshipman Chinao, versus the U.S. Military Academy top racer, Cadet Edward Tang. But first, before we race, right now we are still racing. David, what's going on the track right now? What are we seeing?
Yeah, what we've just done here, we had a couple of questions around whether we're having hardware issues or model issues with the cars. We just switched to one of our sort of go-to test models that we use to demonstrate the car. Actually written by one of the pro racers in the community, a guy called Darren Broderick. We've got a number of his models that we tend to use just to kind of test the cars, because he writes relatively stable models. And as you can see, the car is actually performing relatively well going around the track at the moment. So I don't think the issues we're seeing are car-related, more model-related.
All right. And this, again, it's why we have these test runs. Things are looking fine. The shadows are not causing the problems. This is just part of the fun of machine learning racing. And while we're doing that, there's a question we got. Mystical Pancake is asking that if you were actively training the model during competition, the pit boss moving the car might make the car think it's doing better. It's very important to understand that the competition, they are not training during the competition. So the very end of what Mystical Pancake brings up is absolutely true. While they are racing, no learning is being done at all. The vehicle only has input and makes decision based on a static model, but it is not learning from mistakes. It is not getting any new rewards. It is now locked in. And we've often been asked, well, why don't you set up the vehicle so it learns? I mean, that's an odd thing to limit. It's important to understand that when the machine learning model is training in the virtual world, it has access to a lot of data because we're in a fully cognizant virtual environment. We know the exact XY position. We know velocity. We know angle of acceleration. We know where it is in relationship to the center line. All these data points we've got that can be used in the reinforcement learning model in relation to the camera that's on the car itself and the images that are coming in. In the physical world, we don't have sensors that are set up on the track that allow it to understand XY position or number of centimeters from the center line. These are all data points that are unavailable to the car. We could make them available, but that would slow down the vehicle, as we would have to load up the vehicle with a lot of sensor material. It would slow down the track, so we'd have to put all these things there. So in an effort just to make physical racing more viable, we make sure that all training is done, that the model has reached convergence, hopefully, and that all of that gets put into the vehicle and it just runs and makes the interpretation based on the data coming in. But no, there is no additional training that goes on. So when the pit boss picks up the car, going back again to Mystical Pancake statement, this does not add any confusion to the vehicle. All right, with all that being said, we are done with primary racing. We're going to move on now to this bonus race of the top Naval Academy racer, Midshipman Chenow, versus the Military Academy. Let's first of all hear from the Midshipman Chenow of an interview on what's happening with him.
I'm Matt Webb. I'm a technical program manager at Amazon Web Services and also the Army lead for the AWS Army-Navy DeepRacer Competition. On the line with me, I have Sam Chenow, who's a midshipman from the United States Naval Academy. Sam, really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me this afternoon.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Yeah, and so just get a little background on you. You know, where are you from, and kind of what year are you in at the Naval Academy?
I'm from Austin, Texas, which is where I am right now. It's nice and warm. Haven't had to put on pants all the winter break, which is nice. And this is my third year at the Naval Academy, so I'm a second class.
Okay, so then you'll be a first class next year, and that's when you'll find out where you're going, what kind of branch you'll be down?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So what are you majoring in?
I'm a computer science major. It's the best major on the yard, sir.
That's awesome. I wish I had done that, honestly. So, you know, you participated in the DeepRacer competition since November. I'm just kind of interested in your thoughts on the competition itself, and you know, did you enjoy yourself? How'd you get to it? Anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a awesome competition. It was super fun. We just founded the machine learning team this year. So trying to get people involved, we didn't have that involved base already that a lot of other extracurriculars have. And so having this competition to kind of motivate and get people into it was really great. Being able to see something learn instead of just, you know, typing code on a computer and saying it probably learned, believe us, was really awesome. And we were able to host our own tournaments at school. We'd take over a big lecture room and have a couple teams come in with their models they trained the last week, and we'd race them against each other, and that got a lot of extra participation with the club, and it was super exciting.
That sounds awesome. Sounds very exciting. We're definitely looking forward to the competition this Friday. So after all that you've done and all that you put into the models, what have been your biggest takeaways and lessons learned from the competition and from the machine learning training?
The biggest one, the biggest takeaway I had was the same takeaway I had a few years ago when I was really starting to code. And that's when you get far deep into something, you start to gain this assumption that what you've already done so far is right, and to make it better, you just need to tweak it one more time. And the reality is sometimes you need to start over. Sometimes you just need to start from scratch and erase everything. You can't build a perfect system from a bad base. And sometimes we just get in our heads and think, no, we couldn't have spent all that time making a bad system. No way. And this competition definitely taught us sometimes you got to start over to make a better system. Sometimes you hit the limit of what your bad system can do.
Sometimes it's best just to burn it down and start all over.
Absolutely.
Well, that's awesome. You know, I'm completely biased because I am former Army, but we're really looking forward to the competition. And I know the Navy won the last competition, so I want to wish you and your teams the best of luck.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I hope we can, you know, make the Naval Academy proud.
You already have done so. Looking forward to you participating in next year's competition as well.
Absolutely. We already have plans to try to enter some of the open community races as a team. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great news. Well, I'll definitely be following you guys and seeing how you guys are doing. So, Sam, I really appreciate you taking the time this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your time there in Texas.
All right, thanks so much for Midshipman Sam Chenow. Now, racing against Midshipman Chenow, we've got from the Military Academy, West Point, we've got Cadet Edward Tang. Let's hear from Cadet Tang.
Welcome, everyone. I am Matt Webb. I'm a technical program manager at AWS. I'm also the Army lead on the AWS DeepRacer Army-Navy Competition. With me today, I have Cadet Tang from the United States Military Academy at West Point. Cadet Tang, thank you very much. Really appreciate you taking the time today.
Thanks for having me, sir.
Yeah. So just a little bit about you. Where are you from? What year are you in at the Academy?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm from Palo Alto, California, and I'm a third-year junior at the United States Military Academy.
Oh, nice. What's your major?
I'm a computer science major, sir.
Okay. How did you find out about the DeepRacer competition?
So this competition was actually advertised throughout my department.
Okay.
I took a class with Major Ruiz, who was my teacher for a neural networks class, and he introduced me to this project and brought me on and coached me through the entire thing, sir.
Okay. So what are your thoughts so far now that you've been doing it since November? I know we had a little hiccup with the with the finals, but what are your thoughts?
Yes, sir. I thought it was a great competition. First of all, it was like a great opportunity to kind of maintain the competitive spirit of like Army Navy while also expanding my knowledge of neural networks. I thought it was like a very well structured competition, and it was fleshed out enough for someone who's a novice at machine learning and neural networks to still participate, have fun, and learn something throughout the process. I also thought the format of the competition was really appealing, as the ability to apply skills from my CS major to like a tangible competition with school spirit on the line was an amazing opportunity, and I found it an invaluable experience to collaborate with and learn from instructors and my fellow cadets throughout the competition.
That's awesome. Glad you've enjoyed it. So what's your biggest takeaway or lesson learned from the event so far?
Yeah, so I think my biggest takeaway is that no matter how daunting a problem or task might seem, like machine learning and driving a car and all that, it was super scary to me at first. I think facing it with an open mind and kind of a readiness to learn is an approach that can get success. And with my limited experience in like technical knowledge and neural networks coming into the competition, I kind of felt like I didn't have much to contribute, especially compared to my much more experienced instructors. I still stuck with the competition, and with guidance from other team members and kind of personal research and experimentation, I was eventually able to create a model that I could be pretty proud of. So I felt I was able to deepen my understanding of neural networks, and I'm looking forward to using some of that experience in next year's event as well.
Heck yeah. Yeah, so we're going to have it next year as well, and we're looking forward to having you and the rest of the Academy participate. So I'm horribly biased because I'm former Army, retired Army, and I know we did not win the Army-Navy football game because I was there, and great weather for it, though. You know, you couldn't ask for better weather. Who do you think's going to win? It better be Army.
Yes, sir. I think Army's going to put on a real good showing, and we're gonna beat Navy here.
Awesome. You know, because they won the last competition, so we got to take it out. So, well, hey, Cadet Tang, really appreciate you taking the time. Really excited to see how you do tomorrow, and go Army.
Go Army, sir.
All right, whether you're an Army fan or a Navy fan, this is our chance now to see the academies go head-to-head in one final friendly competition. We've heard for our competitors, the leaders of both teams on the track right now in London. We've got the U.S. Naval Academy here to make their claim that they've got the best academy right now on the board. Here we go. 3 minutes to go. Whenever y'all are ready, let's begin. And we are underway. Currently racing at 2 minutes left, 3 minutes to go. Again, looking for the best individual time. Looking pretty good around the corner and into the wall there just as it's trying to make its final case. While we were having the interviews, by the way, it was interesting to watch some of the tuning going on. As David mentioned, they have a number of models that they keep just for testing purposes to make sure if vehicles are having problems, if there's any particular issues. So we had a chance to see that. And right now we're seeing some good racing here from the United States Naval Academy. But as we come around to that final corner, just unable to stay on the track. It's over anticipating, swinging too wide, not able to get it. So we're hoping for some good times. David, tell me what the timekeeper right now is seeing with 2 minutes left to go in this run.
Yeah, so at the moment we're looking at the fastest lap of a provisional 21 seconds. That just got beaten on that last lap, bringing it down to 15.831, which is an improvement on the run as part of the main race.
All right, not bad. So certainly better than they did. So this vehicle's now getting some good speed, able to stay on track. Again, as long as at least one tire is in the black, that qualifies as being able to still be on track. And it is the pit boss's judgment. So if you happen to be watching the feed and go, wait a minute, I thought it was all off track, it is up to the pit boss as the referee to make the call whether it was off track or not. They are the ultimate, final, unarguable mediator when it comes to that particular decision. 1 minute left. Let's see if we can improve on the time as the U.S. Naval Academy goes first on this head-to-head competition of the Naval Academy versus the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. David, do we have any improvement on our times so far?
Yeah, we've actually shaved another couple of seconds off here. So we're looking at 14.037 is the current provisional fastest lap that the car has set on this run.
Well, at 14 seconds, that's a pretty good time. They'll be going up against the Black Knights team for the Army, who in the regular competition only got 21 seconds as their fastest lap. So 14 seconds, certainly right now, while it's not a best lap time for these racers, might be a good competitive lap when everything is there. Can that hold on? That did stay on the track. David, did that one improve the time?
That one didn't actually improve the time. It was pretty close, but 14.037 on lap 4 of this current run was the fastest lap. And
all right,
about to time out on this one, I think, as well.
That's right. With only 4 seconds left, this will be the end of the U.S. Naval Academy's attempt to go ahead and move forward. Next up, we do have our racers from the United States Military Academy, as we post an official time now for the Naval Academy of 14 point. Do we have the time posted yet? We do not have the time posted. No worries on that one. We'll go ahead and move forward now on to, there it is, 14.037 becomes the time for the U.S. Naval Academy, which would have been good enough for a second place finish. Next up, we're going to have the Black Knights. And while they take the track, there has been some questions on will anyone be able to watch a recording later? Absolutely. This will be posted here to the Twitch channel where you'll be able to watch this and show it to your friends and be able to leverage the bragging rights that come with the Army versus Navy DeepRacer Challenge. All right. We now have one final racer today. This is the racing team from the Black Knights, Cadet Edward Tang being the face of it. There's a lot of team members here that are part of it. Worth shouting out the team leader, Colonel Christopher Corpella. We've got Major Daniel Ruiz, Major Sarah Smith, Mr. Robert Baxter, Cadet Edward Tang we heard from earlier today, Cadet Wyatt Everett. All of these players right now, part of the military and civilian faculty in the electrical engineering and computer science department. They've spent a lot of time invested learning what's going on here. In fact, one of their team members individually clocked over 500 hours of training time in the simulator as we move forward. So with this being said, Black Knights, 2.5 minutes left on their particular run, struggling to get around the track here, hoping to improve on their general competition time of 21.848, but right now does not seem to be able to be getting that velocity that we are expecting. David, do we have any decent times yet posted here for Black Knights?
We've got a lap for 23 seconds, so not the worst today, but it's going to have to go some to beat the US Naval Academy.
23 seconds, not good enough yet. 14.037 is the bar for this particular grudge match. Naval Academy versus Military Academy, as the Military Academy is unable to maintain consistency and continues to find itself off in the grass, causing our pit boss to again get her steps in. As we've said, if you're a pit boss, you do not need a gym membership. 1 minute, 20 seconds left to go as the Black Knights struggle to see if they can unseat the Naval Academy right now as they go head to head. A good running start coming around the corner, but once again into the blue, the Black Knights having trouble. 1 minute left in their attempt. One of the interesting things about their model, they've focused specifically on trying to hug that left side of the track, trying to hug the inside. It's been trained over 36 hours on this particular model designed for the competition track. Can it get there? We see it likes the inside model. 40 seconds left. Let's get a good running start. Could this be the one good lap that the Military Academy needs? And once again, it is off into the logo, into the blue. Time is running out. We are not seeing what we hope to see out of the Black Knights. This could spell the end. 18 seconds left. We're just trying to get back on the track, to get back to the finish line. The vehicle racing around may continue to thwart their ability. They are back on track right now. 7 seconds left. Unless this is brilliant, this may be the end of the race, but it's looking good. It's looking fast. It's moving. It's into the infield. That is the end of the Black Knights run. We're going to post the time, but I am pretty sure it did not come close to the 14 seconds Naval Academy. There's the time posted, 21.848. And in this competition between the two academies, let's be clear, it is the U.S. Naval Academy that ends up winning the trophy as we go academy versus academy here. So congratulations to the U.S. Naval Academy team led by Midshipman Chenow defeating the Black Knights. But that wasn't the flagship event. Our flagship event happened to be the main competition between the United States Army versus the United States Navy, and we now have the final competitors, the final rewards up here. There it is. From the Army, our winners are the top three winners, the Black Knights, the Rolling Pebble, Starfleet. From the Navy, our runners-up, Rewards Make F1, the U.S. Naval Academy Machine Learning Team, and Deep Blue Sea. But all the credit, the trophy, which will be sent out, gets sent to the Green Machine from Aberdeen. Army is the winner of the final trophy that we're here. Folks, we are so excited to send these out. We will be shipping these trophies out to all of our winners. So congratulations, Army. You have won the second competition. The first one went to Navy. The second one went to Army. They are now tied 1-on-1. We are going to continue to race every year. December 2022 is our next race. Folks, let's give a great shout out to all of our competitors who worked so hard, but also the people that made this broadcast work. Special shout out to our track runners, Maria, Helga, Boris, David, our veteran from London, who ended up being, our pit manager, camera operator, Fabrizio. We've got people behind the scenes making it work. Debbie, Matt, special thanks to our film crew in Seattle, led by producer Shannon. We got a whole broadcast crew there. And most importantly, big shout out to the Travis Manion Foundation for all the work you do. We cannot thank you enough. Folks, this is a wrap for the AWS DeepRacer Army-Navy Competition, ending this calendar year. I am Blaine Sunder with AWS. We will see you in December 2022. For all of us at AWS DeepRacer, thanks for watching.